Donald Trump made a big deal out of his plans to renovate the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool, and you have to give him credit. The project is going exactly as expected. It's not? Oh, does that mean it's going better than expected? Oh, worse. But who could have seen that coming? Everyone. For more on this, it's time for a closer look. We all know that Donald Trump cares above all else about appearance, which is why it was weird but not surprising to see him comment on a reporter's looks during the G7 summit in France.
Mr. President, I have a question.
Yes.
Regarding this.
What a nice-looking person. Is he from your country?
Yeah.
Is he from your country?
Absolutely.
No, he's got such a nice way about him. My people they're so mean. Look at him, handsome guy. Can put him.
Be careful.
No, I can put him in a movie right now.
It's never been more obvious that Donald Trump is 80. He's talking about reporters the way old men in retirement homes talk about their kids. Why can't you be like this nice young man? He's polite, he calls me sir, and he doesn't pester me with questions about Jeffrey Epstein. Also, I'm sure the guy is handsome, but don't sleep on our reporters. Have you seen David Muir? I mean, when he interviewed Trump, all I could think was, did the British set fire to the White House again? Because this dude's a smoke show. And don't get me started on Anderson Cooper and his eyes. Talk about reflecting pools. Of course, Trump says stuff like this all the time. Early on in the Iran war, when his emissaries were abroad trying to negotiate a deal that fell apart, Trump was at a UFC fight gushing over one of the fighters.
You're a beautiful guy. Great fight. Thank you very much. Yes. Who to beat the more that he'll win his top fight. I'll give you a money. You look so good. You're too good looking to be a fighter.
Happy Pride Month. Why are you so weird? Dude just got done with what I can only imagine was a grueling physical experience, and you're like, what's your skincare routine? To be clear, I don't think Trump is flirting with him. I think Trump wants to become him. You're a beautiful man. Now hold hands with me in a lightning storm so we can switch bodies. Or should we do a face-off? Point is, Trump only cares about appearances, which is why he is so obsessed with the color of a pool.
President Trump is promising an unbelievable makeover of one of Washington's most recognizable landmarks, the Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool on the National Mall. But the fast-moving project is adding up and drawing scrutiny.
The cost of repainting the reflecting pool has now jumped to nearly $15 million.
We're doing now the reflective pond. Have a little swimming pool. Think of it as a swimming pool. They cleaned it. They took out, as I said, more than 10 dumpsters of garbage. We then steam cleaned it. We then sandblasted it, and then we pebble blasted it. The reflective lake, some people go to pond, some people it's like a lake. But the reflective lake, we use the material that doesn't allow leaks. You know, it's like a swimming pool doesn't leak. You use the right. This is called swimming pool on steroids.
It is a reflecting pool. It is not a lake. No one calls it a lake. It's not a pond. No one calls it a pond. It is not a swimming pool. It's not a swimming pool on steroids. It's a reflecting pool. Have you been reading The Thesaurus for Dummies? I can't believe I have to say this, but the reflecting pool is not the same as a swimming pool. They're not built in the same way. They have different cleaning systems, and most importantly, nobody swims in it. That's why you'll never go on a class trip to the Lincoln Memorial and see a 618-meter freestyle. But Trump genuinely seems to have thought the reflecting pool was no different from the pools at his various clubs.
I built all these swimming pools, and they're phenomenal. They're 20 years. I have one up the road where it's a great club on the Potomac River, and I bought it up at 21 years ago, and I built a beautiful Olympic-sized pool. I have a guy who's unbelievable at doing the swimming pools. Up the road, we have a club. We have an Olympic-sized swimming pool. He did it 20 years ago, and it's perfect to this day. He said, what do you want me to look at? So I said, have a little swimming pool. Think of it as a swimming pool. I said, oh, how big is it? I said, 2,200 feet by 167 feet wide. He said, that's the biggest swimming pool? He said, I've been doing this for a lot of years, sir. I've never heard of a pool like that.
That's because it's not a swimming pool. Go jump in a lake or a pond or a tub full of water, which you probably call a lake. This isn't your chintzy golf club with lawn chairs and marble fountains. Lincoln isn't in the middle of a koi pond with water shooting out of his eyes. fact, Trump seems to be treating the reflecting pool so much like one of his own pools that he even let the contractor upsell him on a new color.
He said, "What color would you like, sir?" I said, "Well, what about turquoise, like in the Bahamas?" He said, "Well, this is Washington, sir. We can give you turquoise, but why don't you try, like, we have a color. It's called American flag blue." I said, "That's the color I like." He talked me into it very easily.
Man, they saw you coming from a mile away. I bet that contractor had a bucket of old blue paint sitting around and said, "Oh, yeah, we got one. It's called American flag blue." Same way a car salesman upsells you on the exterior. "Would you like to see this Ferrari in other colors? We have one called Big Penis Red." This is like when realtors invent new names for neighborhoods in New York. They'll say we have a beautiful listing in a quaint little neighborhood called Upper East NoHo Village, and then it turns out it's just a raft in the East River. Also, I have to go back to this.
"What color would you like, sir?" I said, "Well, what about turquoise, like in the Bahamas?"
That was your first idea? You wanted to make the Lincoln reflecting pool turquoise, like in the Bahamas. What else were you thinking of adding? A swim-up cocktail bar and a bunch of shirtless pool boys? But you know what? Maybe I'm just being a hater. Maybe I do have Trump derangement syndrome. Maybe I secretly want the reflecting pool and the rest of the Capitol be dirty and gross because it advances my nefarious liberal agenda.
President Trump's renovation of the reflecting pool is complete, but for some reason, cleanliness in the Capitol is driving the left absolutely nuts.
They're the party of original sin. They're the party of colonialism. They're the party of oppressors. They're the party of you can't make up for the sins of your past, even if you're doing the good thing now. So, of course, they're going to have a problem with making Washington, D.C. look more beautiful.
When you let that go into disrepair, you're doing that on purpose. You're purposely subverting the greatness of America. So when Trump builds things in this style, it is a direct contradiction of their worldview. He's saying, yes, we are a great country, and we have been a great country.
I'm sorry, are we still talking about the pool, you goobers? Yeah, that's right. The left hates America. If they had their way, they would replace the reflecting pool with a rainbow flag or worse, some woke color like turquoise. They want the reflecting pool to look bad. They want people to visit D.C. to say, "Whoa, I thought democracy was awesome, but the water in this pool is kind of cloudy, so now I think democracy sucks. I'm going to go home and join Antifa. When they ask me why, I'm going to write down because the pool was blue, but not American flag blue." But you know what? You're right, Fox News. You're right. You're right. When you're right, you're right. The left wants our country to be gross and dirty, unlike the right, who honored our nation's architectural beauty by scaling the walls of the Capitol and breaking the windows. They took a dump in the hallway, but they did it out of patriotism. They just wanted D.C. to smell like it did in 1776. The point is, Trump won't be intimidated by the haters. He wants the pool to look beautiful. He wants it to be American flag blue, and that's exactly what he's going to get.
President Trump hoped to turn the Lincoln Memorial's reflecting pool what he called the American flag blue. That's the color he wanted for the water, but right now, it's green as heck.
It was drained, it was painted, then the water was put right back into it, and what you're seeing is an algal bloom. Algae has turned it green.
What was briefly a chlorine blue swimming pool, American flag blue, as Trump put it, is now, quote, puke green.
So Trump gave out a no-bid contract to a friendly company with an inflated profit margin for a project no one asked for, and in the process, he took an iconic American institution and turned it puke green. This brings us to a segment called The Metaphor is Way Too Obvious. You guys, the metaphor is way too obvious. I mean, do I really need to spell it out for you? My whole job here is to come out and make ridiculous metaphors, but real life is already a metaphor. He said he was going to drain the swamp, and he literally drained a pool or lake or small ocean and created an actual swamp. At this point, I might as well just quit and move to the Bahamas so I can swim in a pool that's actually turquoise.
This has been The Metaphor is Way Too Obvious.
By the way, puke green isn't some mean insult the radical left or the crooked media made up. It's what the people who are at the reflecting pool are saying.
This is not the Patriot blue Donald Trump said it was gonna be.
I was excited to see it, but I mean, it just looks swampy.
How would you describe the color you're looking at right now?
Puke green. You know, I came down here. I have pictures 3 weeks ago while this was getting painted and while this was done. I had colors of the old paint, the new paint, and everybody said it would be so beautiful. It's puke green. I want to puke. This is how ugly it is. It's disgusting.
Get this lady on Project Runway ASAP. You think you can combine a green shawl with a blue smock? It's puke green, and now I want to puke. Make it work. So the reflecting pool that we spent millions of dollars to make American flag blue is now puke green. Or if you're Fox News and you're paid to pretend you're colorblind, it's actually still blue.
I'm here at the newly renovated reflecting pool. It's painted American flag blue. And the Democrats are going to tell you, oh, there's green algae, it looks so bad. But there's pool guys cleaning it up right now. No other president would do that.
Dude, I'm going to say to you the same thing I say whenever I'm stuck behind an old person at a traffic light. It's green! We can see it right behind you. It's so green, it looks like the Ninja Turtles are about to crawl out. In fact, the pool is so not blue that workers have been desperately trying to kill the algae any way they can.
It's so green that workers could be seen this very morning bent over, dumping jugs of hydrogen peroxide. It looked like they picked up at True Value into the water to kill the algae blooms.
Not a great sign that the president's signature initiative looks like something out of Breaking Bad. I mean, I'm no expert, but I don't think it's ideal that one of the nation's most iconic treasures is now filled with chemicals that you're not supposed to come into contact with. I feel bad for the next duck who lands in that thing. You finally find a nice body of water to swim around and you end up burning off your cloaca. That duck is about to die. I forgot we had such a friendly duck audience tonight. Like right before we started, they're like, FYI, they're super into the Knicks and ducks for some reason. This is what Trump does. He says he's gonna fix something, insists he's the only one who can do it, then turns it into a corrupt boondoggle that only makes the problem worse. It's true of everything he touches. If you add up Trump's promises, all you'd get is
more than 10 dumpsters of garbage.
This has been a closer look. Hey guys.